Hey, VC Jeff here. So I know yesterday I made a video showing what came in the mail, but I totally failed to, prior to that, make one of basically just some stuff I found over the weekend. We got out, it was a beautiful weekend, did some geocaching with the wife, and we had to drop off we had to go pick up one of our kids way across town, like 40 minutes from here. So while we were over there, we decided to, we had to stop at some point, and we swung in by a Walmart. I had to pick up well, my wife had to pick up. So she was looking for something. So we went in there. I thought, well, I'll check out because this part of town I haven't been to. And I thought, well, let's go see if Walmart has any of those hard to find, vinyl records that everybody else is running out of. I don't know. It was just like, hey, let's see what they got. And they had quite a good supply compared to some of the stores around my area here. But nothing really major that I really had wanted. But then I looked down at the CDs, which is rare because I really haven't been buying a lot of CDs recently. But I looked down and I saw in the like $6 or $7 bin something that caught my eye, and I picked it up and I thought, what is this? It's called The Many Faces of Def Leppard. Now, honestly, I have to admit, I was at first kind of ignorant, didn't know what it was, looked at it, and I thought for $7 you get 3 CDs. Now what it is, when I examined it, is disc 1 is all a bunch of music from side projects and other bands that members of Def Leppard have been in. So, you've got Roadhouse featuring Pete Willis, you've got Gog Magog, which was the Pete Willis, Yannick Gers band. So you got all kinds of stuff on here that Joe Elliott's been in, and Man Rays with Phil Collin, and other things like that. So a bunch of side projects, and then disc number 2 are basically cover tunes. Now, these are a dime a dozen. You find those compilations all over Spotify and all over places where bands are playing, and they get other musicians together, and so you've got Randy Castillo and Tracy Guns, and you bring all these guys together and you do covers. And there's some bands on here doing covers. I'm not familiar with them, and some of them are pretty decent. And then disc 3 is a new wave of British heavy metal. So it's basically a compilation of bands who existed around the same time as the early days of Def Leppard. Oddly enough, though, the songs that they chose for these are not songs that would have been from like the early days of Def Leppard. So, like Solid Ball of Rock by Saxon, that's a much later album by Saxon. And the same thing with most of the ones on here. You have Alcatraz, Tigers of Pantang, you got Witchfind, Hawkwind, Tokyo Blade. They got something from like their 5th or 6th album, I forget which one it was. So it's Girls School. It's a great compilation, though. I gave it a spin, and it's very cool to hear. I don't care what the era is. It's just I was curious about why they chose later era and not earlier. Anyway, so I thought, well, this is neat, for $7. And then I got home and I started looking into it, and I realized that The Many Faces of is a series that pretty much every band, they have a CD set for every band. And then I recall, wait a minute, I do remember seeing a long time ago the a Kiss, Many Faces of Kiss double record set. And then I looked it up, and sure enough, it was I think it was a triple CD too. But everybody, AC/DC, Van Halen, Queen, Rod Stewart, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix. The list went on and on of how many. Motley Crue. And then I realized, I have seen the Motley Crue mentioned before. And so the Many Faces of series, at first it caught me off guard. I was totally unaware. I thought this was really cool, and it is really cool. And now I'm curious about maybe going back and picking up some of the other ones, because it was just a neat look at other things that the bands related to them has. The vinyl edition of this just has the first 2 discs, so it doesn't have the new wave of British heavy metal stuff, but it has the other 2, and even then it doesn't have all the other 2 because you can't fit 15 songs in there. But anyway, I thought it was a neat little set. For the $7, it was like, oh, okay. I wasn't disappointed. I just at first was not aware of the Many Faces. So then we stopped at some thrift stores in the area too. Again, I rarely these days look at the CDs in the thrift stores, but when I got there and I was flipping through and didn't really find a whole lot in one of the thrift stores, I don't know, my wife was still shopping, so I thought, well, I started flipping through the CDs, and I found a couple that I went ahead and grabbed. So this is John Schlitt. Now it says here, John Schlitt, lead singer for Petra and Head East. But yeah, he was the Head East lead singer, if you're familiar with that band. And then he went on to front Petra after Greg X Volts left, and had been in there ever since. He's done a bunch of solo albums. This is his first solo album, 1995. I totally ignored this for the most part because it would have been, I thought it was going to be like light rock, Petra's kind of hard rock, so why would he release a solo album that's the same stuff? Anyway, I got this in the car and I put it in and I was like, oh my gosh, I was blown away. First song, I mean, first off, it's produced and engineered and all that by David and Dan Huff. Now, you may not be as familiar with them. David and Dan Huff were both brothers. They were the original members in Whiteheart on their first album, but then they became producers and everything, and they musicians on like 1,000 or more albums. But they're also the guys behind the band Giant. Maybe you're familiar with Giant, another one of those just commercial hard rocking band that I would love to get some vinyl of theirs. But so it's the two guys from Giant. So think that kind of, if you're familiar with Giant, or just that overall hard rock AOR, very polished and beautiful sounding and with amazing guitar work, that's what you get here. It was very much not what I expected. I think I might have heard one of his later albums and I wasn't as pleased with it, so I kind of ignored all of his stuff. But wow, I was really impressed. I love this album. This is just, I was blown away. The other one I grabbed is Carmen, Heart of a Champion. Now Carmen, I've always dug him. I've been scooping up whatever vinyl I could get from him, and he passed away last year. Complications of a hiatal hernia surgery, had nothing to do with COVID, but sadly he did pass away. I really enjoy him, very much a contemporary Christian, pop Christian. He dabbles in like a rap at times, just anything to appeal to the kids, and great storytelling, lots of storytelling. But the reason I grabbed this, because I pretty much have, between vinyl and CD, I think I own everything that Carmen has except some of the stuff in the later 90s, which I haven't picked up yet. But the reason I got this is because it's a double disc set, which even Spotify doesn't have this listed as a double disc set. They have it as a single. But it's a double disc set with 6, if you can see them in black, hard to see there to glare, 6 new songs, which I was not aware of. So I'm like, well, I got to get it for that reason. And then 30 songs altogether, and 6 of them are brand new recordings only for this album. And there are some tracks on this album that again were from those later 90s that I don't have. So I scooped this up, great condition. Yeah, it's I don't know what made me stop and look, but I'm glad I did. And then I went to another thrift store, and the only thing I found there of any consequence was the Imperials. Now, heed the call. Imperials, very much, I guess you would call them kind of a gospel music. And I've always kind of known about them, and I've actually had some of their stuff in the past. One of the old Imperials albums I had from like the 70s, I actually passed on to Dolph Van Dale, because I know he's big into the Imperials. But I picked this up and I thought, I don't know a whole lot about them, except I know I've heard their best of album quite a bit. My roommate in the military had that, and we've listened to them. And I thought, I wonder if this is the album that the only one song that really stuck in my mind was a song called Old Buddha. And I thought, I wonder, two things I wondered about this album: Old Buddha, Russ Taff. I did recently watch the Russ Taff documentary biography on TV. So he's been in my heart recently. So I pulled it out and I flipped it over. My wife, when she saw me pick it up, she said, "Does it have Russ Taff on it?" And sure enough, it's got Russ Taff, and sure enough, Old Buddha. I thought, I'm going to get it. It has some pops and cracks, but I think I could scrub this down and clean it up. But I have listened to it, and I found that I really enjoy this kind of music. It's not really as gospel as you want. It's just 4 guys singing, and the music behind them is rocking for that time frame, and kind of, commercial pop rock that they were playing. And so, yeah, I dug this album. I've listened to it twice since the weekend, and it was really good. And so, yeah, I'm going to be on the lookout. I know the later stuff in the 80s, they did actually become quite a bit more pop feeling at times. But the earlier stuff is a little more gospel related, but still, this is some rocking stuff. So, yeah, I'm glad I got that. So I grabbed that mainly because of, again, Old Buddha and Russ Taff. Because I like Russ Taff, and I need some Russ Taff on vinyl one day too. But anyway, that was it. That's the only other thing that happened this weekend, and I just wanted to share that and get that off. So thanks for watching. I will see you later. Rock on and rock hard.